To that in just a second. First, let's call the start of semi-final B, the last race of the day, and it looks like a clean start from everyone. If anything, I think Ben Canute got off a little bit slowly. Simon Hemslett is out there going hell for leather, as they all are, and someone got caught up there in the middle. And sometimes the middle, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8, it can get pretty lively.
The Up Junior got off super fast. The problem is you've got to move across from right to left, and that inside line, I've always seen Henry Schumann, well, he's sitting right next to me, you always tend to take that inside line. It moves quicker. We saw in the men's first semi-final, that side was quicker. We saw in both the women's semi-finals, they seem to get that inside line to the first swim boy, and these guys have to move across, which makes them vulnerable to get caught up in congestion.
There were people that chose the outside line, though, because maybe they wanted to stay out of that congestion, but it seems to have not worked. It takes the strength of someone like Katie Zafiris to be able to come around and put herself in that position.
You've got to back your swim. You've got to be a swimmer to be able to do that, to have that confidence, to be able to get off the blocks fast and move across.
Yeah, we have a lot of strong swimmers in this group, and you can already see 5 of them almost in a row just trying to move up there. It was Anthony Pujard who actually picked himself on the outside, and he was hoping to swim around them, and you can just see that having that longer line is actually a bit of a disadvantage. And Aurelian Raphael, I think it is,
Raphael and Schomburg, and then Jody Brownlee inside.
Oh, it's getting messy now.
Hayden Wild's just patted someone on the back there.
Gustav Eden is just there at the back of that.
We expected that. With this much firepower in the water, it's going to be a lot more congestion than we think we saw in that first semi-final, where there's a little bit more gaps between the swimmers. I think there's so much firepower. It's Wild and Gustav Eden that have to stay as close to these guys as possible. Yeah,
Aurelian Raphael is already pushing the pace. He's already got a couple of meters just between the 3 of them, spearheading that chase.
Who's that off the back there who's left themselves a lot to do coming up to this next transition? I can't quite glance it, but the young junior that we raced this morning is sitting really comfortably. Even though he's third, he's at the back, he's got some people around him, which is the place to be. You just don't want to be on your own in these type of races.
Aurelian Raphael at the front, as you say, stringing them out a little bit, the 31-year-old.
Yeah, he'll be going for that blue jersey as well, trying to score those 5 points.
31 years of age makes you old in Super League terms. Normally by that stage you're going for the longer ones. Chris Perham there in about 5th position.
And that was Aaron Royal, they went past it, Johnny Brownlee.
But it's Schomburg and Raphael at the moment. Jonas Schomburg has really been a great story, Macca, if you like, as part of Super League. He's really come into his own around the same time that Super League picked him up, and now he finds himself qualified for the Olympics. But before I get your thoughts on that, they're about at the exit, so we'll go down to Joe right now.
Yep, they are just coming out of the water. Aurelian Raphael there got off to a strong start. Was that tactical?
Yeah, definitely. Vincent Louis in the pontoon draw said he will be one of the first out of the water. He's not the strongest of runners, so he'll want this break to come to something.
And we heard that Hayden Wild was a little bit pushed about, touching people in the swim. What was going on there, the washing machine?
Yeah, that's his weakness, to be honest. If you go round in the first few, round the buoy, then you're clear and you can go through at speed. But then if you're 3 or 4 people back, then you're 4 people wide, and it's just a fight to get around that first buoy.
Okay, well, let's go catch up with him in transition.
Schomburg leading in, and a great swim from Aidan Longcroft Harris, who is a noted swimmer, one of our qualifiers to come through. You can see Aurelian coming out there, number 12, the Frenchman, but Longcroft Harris comes out in front of him.
Schomburg has had a really good transition. He really wanted to get in front, so he's joining. Gustav Eden has actually made a lot of work for himself. He's towards the back end, but he's in the group.
It was a big transition from Gustav and Hayden Wild there.
Dorian Collins at the back, along with Canute.
Dorian seems to struggle in these tight turns. He's when he gets the right course, he's remarkable to watch. But in the Super League events he's done, he doesn't like these aggressive starts in the swim and these tight circuit bike rides. He just doesn't seem to get that engine rubbing as well as it has. I've seen it run in other races.
You really get the feeling we're going to wave goodbye to a couple of really notable names who aren't going to be in Sunday. If you look through 9th to 12th at the moment in Hayden Wild, Ben Canute, Dorian Collins was there as well. These are guys who we expect to figure in racing even when we have a full field. So this is the kind of pressure that the semi-final format puts on. Gustav Eden, you can see there as well, in 11th position. They're big names in terms of the black and yellow of Super League, but at the moment it's Jonas Schomburg.
Yeah, he's really putting on the pressure now. I think he's trying to do something similar to what Lewis was doing in the race before, just trying to put the pressure on, try and make it hard for everyone else.
And Aidan Longcroft-Harris, what a great spot to be in. He's come out of the qualifiers at that Ottawa event. You've got Schomburg in front of you. You've got the world's best behind you, Johnny Brownlee, chasing up. Goodbye. That's also Aaron Royal there, who's been training a bit with Johnny. It's great for him. He's going to be really happy with that.
It's not just about TV time and having a good position early on here. This guy is a great swimmer.
Yeah.
And we know how important the second swim is in this format. If he can make sure he has a good second swim, it's probably something new for him to go back into the water again, apart from being in at Ottawa. If he can position himself well in that second swim, he's got every chance of ousting some big names. So we'll just see how that goes. But at the moment, there's a 5-second gap back to Johnny Brownlee. And I wonder whether you asked Aidan Longcroft-Harris a year ago if at some point he'd have a 5-second gap on Johnny Brownlee in a race, whether he would have said yes.
Well, if you go back to this event last year, Schomburg was eliminated. So he's really grown throughout the Super League Series, and probably Longcroft-Harris, watching this event at home in Canada, is now leading the thing. So it's a great story of these two, and I think, as we saw in that semi-final one, 2 off the front is a lot better than being in this congested route where problems can happen.
You're going to almost expect Jonas Schomburg to break away at the front at some point in a race these days. He did that in Tokyo. He's half a lap away on the bike at one point, ended up finishing 12th and qualifying for the Olympics, which brings him back under the wing of the German Federation, no doubt about it. But
everyone loves a winner, eh?
Everyone loves a winner, indeed. But he doesn't, in terms of his splits, like he's not in the top 10 in terms of swim, bike or run for Super League from 2018. So it just shows you that
he's maturing as an athlete.
Yeah.
He really is maturing as an athlete. I think Singapore was his best performance last year on that Super League circuit. And
by far. So sixth in Singapore, and 10th was his next best in Mulder, 15th year in Jersey last year. So he's just getting better and better.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think Jonas Schomburg almost overcooked that corner. He was a little bit wobbly and he actually lost some time. Jonathan Brownlee is actually gaining some time now on them. And it's good to see Hayden Wild is in that mix. And even the youngster Hensley, the junior, he's
too,
in that
6.
mix. Yeah.
He's in there between Aaron Royal and Hayden Wild, Simon Henslett.
He's ripping through the field.
Oh, yeah, have Pujard who's actually attacking this group. Yeah.
And Gustav Eden.
Listen, he's actually struggling a little bit.
With these dead turns.
Yeah,
why can't we make this race 15 times longer, he's thinking to himself. But it does require a different type of fitness.
But it just seemed like he was in such a big gear going around that corner. Surely you would be thinking about that, make sure you're in the right gear so that you can get around that corner and immediately be on the power. And he was trying to get on the power and change gear.
Gap's closed. When there was 2, there's now 3. And Johnny let that go.
It just seems like Johnny is always trying to catch up.
Yeah.
Pujard bridges the gap. So Aurelien Raphael, the Frenchman, led out early, got that 5 points on the bike, and now his countryman Pujard, who also qualified in Bali and is another member of that famed Boissy Tri team.
Looks like Hayden Wild is quite comfortable. He's in a very good position. He doesn't look too stressed or under pressure. I think he's just biding his time and waiting for his moment.
Just before he looked away, the line that Gustav Eden took into that dead turn was just a little narrower than everybody else, and it seems that he loses a little bit of speed. He didn't go quite as wide. He kind of came in a bit too narrow and forced himself far wide on the exit. And these are the little things, I suppose, as we mentioned before, that really make Super League what it is. There's no time to make up for something like that. You can really see it go away from you.
And we saw it in the junior race this morning, and it could be a big problem tomorrow if we see a bit of wet water on the road and it raining, because as you sort of drift back and you find yourself chasing, you tend to take that little bit more of a chance as you come into those corners. You slam that front brakes on and people drop the bike. So he seems desperate to get across to that group. That gap was open. He ran a terrible line and the gap got bigger.
A little bit of wet water, eh?
Yeah, a bit of wet water.
It's the worst kind of water, wet
water.
water.
There's dry water, isn't there? It's got ice.
No, it's on there now.
Okay, yeah.
You can't see it.
Pujard is actually putting in a bit of a surge. He's trying to get away. I think he's also trying to do something that Vincent Louis was doing, and it seems like Jonas Schomburg is not as comfortable on the bike as what he should be. He's just hesitating around that roundabout, and he's just leaving like a second or two just behind, and you can see that has created a gap now.
Yeah, he had that little moment before, and then that maybe is all it takes. Suddenly you think, I just need to finish in the top 5. I don't need to bust myself today. But Anthony Pujard, the 28-year-old, second in the Mediterranean Sprint Champs in the middle of the year, certainly knows how to do it over the short distances, and he's probably put 5 seconds in just in the last 800 or so metres.
He's doing it all with bike skills. He's just really handling this course very, very well. He's taking good lines. He's accelerating out of the corners well. It's all. He's a technician.
Yeah, he's using the full road just to make sure that he can use every little bit of this course, and Yeah, I mean, he's really holding it tough. Oh, Hayden Wild is coming out to the front. I think he's going to try and attack or maybe just pull the group together. You never know.
Well, Hayden Wild's the kind of guy who'll want that short shoot in his pocket. He knows, he's seen it before. He's been on course and had races taken away from him. There's Dorian Connings, who looks like he's deep in it. Chris Perrin behind, and there's Aurelian Raphael, who had a fantastic swim. Again, a very narrow line coming into that dead turn.
It seems
Raphael.
like the guys going for the swimmer's jersey are really pushing the pace in the beginning, and then they're kind of falling off. So I don't know if they're getting into that red too soon.
And they've got to get to tomorrow's final to take those points to hold that jersey for the round win. So there's no use cooking it and then not making through the final.
Lovely angle there of the roundabout from the top end. But
So there we go, Hayden Wild.
Yep.
That's that mountain
He's
bike
crossed
skill
over.
of Hayden Wild. He grew up on a mountain bike. He grew up in the South Island, New Zealand.
Yeah.
And
Oh, he's a dual junior Xterra world champ. So
Yeah, he would be loving this course, especially with the extra dogleg that we've added in here on this year's course.
big group behind. It's going to be a good fight at the end if they can stay together. Canute there and Eden at the back.
hanging on.
he's been at the back the whole time, and Canute actually slid around him. He was behind him a couple of laps ago, so he's not enjoying the tight turns.
Doherty is actually moving up really well on the bike.
He was number 50. He's the one that was at the back coming out of the water, so he's made a big effort there.
Yeah, there we go, Hayden Wild putting in a little surge. I think he's trying to actually get as much time as he can because he knows his swimming is not a strong point, and he's going to put in a very strong run as well.
I think that'll be the fastest bike of the day for him because this is the bike that counts for the jersey.
Let's go down to Joe in transition. How are you seeing this? It's a race in two at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. There's two in front, Jodie. Are you surprised that they're neck and neck right now?
No, not really. I mean, Hayden's going to go away on this run now. He's one of the fastest runners on this course. He needs a gap going into the swim to help him because that's his weakness. He's doing this right on key, what he should be doing.
We've just seen Johnny Brownlee come past us. He seems to be struggling a little bit, though. Do you think he has it in him to stay in the top 5?
Yeah, definitely. He'll definitely, I think, stay in the top 5. He just needs to be in contention and he'll be fine. Hayden really needs to play this smart and get an advantage, whereas Johnny doesn't necessarily at this point.
Okay, well, it's a good battle for spots there. Just the top 5, and then, of course, those fastest losers. Good battle down here.
Thanks, guys. Hayden Wild first up the hill. He didn't rack his bike. He racked his bike front in, as per normal.
Monster transition.
Yeah, he did.
Hayden.
Maybe he made that decision.
He really set that up. He works the runs very well. He likes to be out in front. He's got a big gap. I wonder what's going through his head. We remember he debuted here last year in Jersey with that big sprint finish against Mario Mola, and he's just gone from strength to strength.
Yeah,
he just nearly took a wrong turn there.
Nearly took the bike course. This is a shorter turn up near the fan zone. He'll make the long left, come off this straight,
I
make
think
a
he's
left
really
hand.
trying to maximize his time on the run here.
Get that margin of error for the swim.
Exactly. Someone we haven't mentioned is Aaron Royal. He's actually sitting really well in that group, and I think with his swim strength, he could also move towards the front, maybe get a breakaway with Johnny Brownlee, Anthony Pujard, and maybe Jonas Stromberg as well.
And the junior.
Well, these two.
Ben Canute.
From Simon Hensel, it looks behind him and sees a world champion. He sees Ben Canute as well. And just thinks, what a day I'm having. What an absolute day I'm having. Won the junior race, and now look at the guys that are behind me on this one.
Just taking scalps.
Yeah, that's the beauty of Super League in terms of giving people opportunities to race on the big stage. That's exactly what we're all about at Super League Triathlon. And in terms of the last couple of years of giving people opportunities to shine on the big stage, if you think back to 1 year ago, Hayden Wild announced himself with a sprint finish with Mario Mola, who was at the time the world champion, and bested him for 6th and 7th. And that's when we really remember the name Hayden Wild, and he really showed us what he was capable of in the rounds that came after that, and now he's leading a semi-final.
Oh, it's awesome. He's just such a good personality. He's one of the favourites on the circuit of all the athletes and all the staff. He's just a bundle of fun. He's gone from strength to strength this year, and just watching his progression as an athlete has been remarkable.
He looks very comfortable. It seems, well, he could be having the poker face on, but he looks comfortable in the run. Johnny's headed to the front of the chasing pack ahead of Aaron Royal.
Look at the big screen.
Yeah, he looks very in control. Johnny Brownlee pushing the pace behind.
Aaron Royal.
Yeah, Aaron Royal. He's looking very comfortable, actually. I think he could be one to maybe challenge Hayden Wild towards the end.
Gustav Eden's had to move up a lot. He doesn't have a big swim, so this next 800 metres for him is important to at least try and get on the back of this group if he possibly can and have some feet to follow in the swim.
Someone needs to bridge cross because Aidan Longcroft-Harris is losing touch with the top 5, who is at the moment Wild, Brownlee, Royal, Pujard and Schomburg. 2 seconds back, Longcroft-Harris, but he looks pretty deep in it. Gustav Eden another 3 seconds back, and as you say, he needs to get across. And then we have our junior, and behind him, Ben Canute, 5 seconds back, actually. So it looks like he's actually lost a little bit of time from last time we saw them both on screen.
Ben Canute being behind Gustav Eden is a good thing, because Ben Canute is really, really strong in that second swim. We've seen him many times close that gap, or close some gap. And when you look at the back of that top, we're talking 10 seconds, over 300 metres. Ben Canute's swim, he could close that to that group.
We might lose Dorian Connings in this one. He's proved to himself, to be so quick. He's part of that world champion and Tokyo test. That sprint finish he had with Alex Yee was absolutely outstanding. He knows how to put it down, but at the moment, he's a good 30 seconds behind. So we might lose the Frenchman. There is Eden, who's coming up on Longcroft-Harris, and behind him, Simon Henselet. Con Doherty, who's dug very deep, and there is Ben Canute, right. He's actually been overtaken just then by Doherty. You can see on the timing splits, Doherty was behind, and he's now in front.
Well, Doherty struggled in that first swim, and it looks like he's obviously a big bike, big runner. So he's using all his matches right now to stay in the hunt.
Yeah, Constantine Doherty, 23 years of age. Gold in Nulmo in the Sprint World Cup in August. He's also the Oceania Sprint Cup champion. Won that on the Gold Coast, and a couple of times he's been the Irish national champion as well. So he knows how to sprint, but Hayden Wild knows how to put it together in the black and yellow. He's proved that time and time again. So he's controlling this race just at the moment, 7 seconds ahead of Brownlee. It was 7 seconds, sorry, now it's 11 seconds. So
yeah, he won't be letting up. He won't be letting up just yet. He knows that there are some strong swimmers coming from behind, and yeah, I think he's just trying to make the most of everything. Like you can see, he's trying to have the quickest transition that he can possible.
What do you think of that?
What happened then?
Well, he's just thought I'd be quicker if I do it on the run.
Oh.
But I don't know if it is.
That's the first time I've ever seen anything like that in my life, and it's typical of the Falcon to think of something like that.
Could I just take him off here?
Yeah, while I'm running. This is a
what do you
transition.
think? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to get the numbers crunched on that.
Johnny Brownlee, good transition. Aaron Royal, as you said, Henry, right there with a big swim. And Gustav Eden has moved all the way through. It's exactly what he had to do. He's closed that gap. He's got Jonas Schomburg behind him. He's going to have to swim around him, along with Ben Canute, who's a big swimmer. So Gustav's in a good position with swimmers around him that he can use to stay in contention.
If Schomburg was clever, he would actually try and pass him on the run down to the water. Otherwise, trying to pass him in the water would be much more difficult than running around him.
Well, he can get in your way, right? You're a fast swimmer. I was always back. It's those slower swimmers as you're trying to move through that get in your way and make progression fairly difficult.
Well, Schomburg's too far back there. They were both on the ramp coming down. So he's going to have to pass Gustav Eden in the water. But out the front, Hayden Wild. Currently at 17 minutes. Looking at 36 minutes is the mark. We're down one triathlon. We're into the second. So
at the moment, it's quicker.
Yeah, well, I'd say the second swim's going to be a bit slower than the first one. Brownlee, 12 seconds back. Royal hanging in there. It was only a late inclusion, Aaron Royal. Rang up and said I wanted to be involved. We had a couple of people pull out. Aaron Royal's come in, former under-23 world champion, 29 years of age now.
Australian Olympian.
Yep.
He's a great athlete, Aaron Royal. He's been a fantastic junior in Australia, now one of the veterans of the Australian circuit, just a magnificent athlete.
Finished 16th in the Lausanne Grand Final. He was part of the bronze winning team in the World Cup in Hamburg for the mixed team relay. So he's still very, very fast. There's no doubt about it, and he's showing that now. Pujard is having an impressive run as well. 14 seconds back along with Royal. Be good to see him as a qualifier come into the mix. There is Aurelian Raphael. He'll need to have the swim of his life. Need to put an outboard motor on.
Yeah, he's fighting for survival now. He may be eliminated. I think he'll survive this swim, but
maybe not the sea. Probably won't make it to the end. He was 1 minute and 2 seconds back. Now it's 1 minute and 7 seconds. He can swim some of that away, but not much probably.
I think Johnny is actually going to be closing up this gap, and it's quite good to see that they are working with each other, these three strong swimmers. They're not on top of each other, and they're getting into a single line, single file, and that way they can catch Hayden Wild a lot easier.
Yeah, that's sitting.
How much of a difference, just for people who are just tuning out, how much of a difference does that make? Because you hear that a lot, but like when you're on someone's feet like that, even when you're side by side versus someone's feet or on a hip, what difference does it make?
It just kind of feels like you're getting sucked back when they're sitting on your wave, on your shoulder, and it's just not a nice feeling, especially if you have two people next to you or sitting on your shoulder. It just feels like you're working 10 times harder. So if you're trying to be tactical and maybe slow them down, then do that. But if you want to catch up and catch up to Hayden Wild in front here, get into single file, or if you're trying to get a breakaway, just be in single file.
So if you're on someone's feet, how much easier are you working than someone like Wild who's on his own? Are you working
Hayden
more
Wild
easily?
is putting in quite a bit of effort. He's got no slip in front of him. Jonathan Brownlee would actually be gaining a little bit, that he's getting a little bit of the draft from Hayden right now. So he'll be...
What about if you're Royal sitting on Brownlee, like in terms of energy expenditure? Much less?
I think Royal is quite a strong swimmer, so he might also just be using this to recover, make his move on the bike and run.
I was that annoying athlete that used to try and sit on your hip and slow you down, because it's an unbelievable feeling. It might feel terrible for the person leading the swim, but for the person sitting off the hip, it's a perfect spot to be. It's like surfing that wake.
Yeah, you can save about 30% energy. That's
huge.
Really a nice feeling.
That's
Hayden
a huge
Wild
amount of
has had a
energy, so-
really good swim. I'm actually really impressed. He's held off the strong swimmers from behind, and he's still got maybe 3 or 4 seconds.
Brownlee and Royal come in 1 and 2 next to each other. Sorry, obviously 2 and 3. Behind them is Anthony Pujard, and then quite a big gap to
Longcroft Harris.
Who's managed to hold off the chasing pack. Eden should be there or thereabouts, and Schomburg.
Eden, good swim with Schomburg. Never went around him. Stayed with him, but that's a good spot to be.
Yeah, it really is. That's a much improved swim. I guess we can expect that from Gustav Eden to really work into this one. All right, Joe and Jody are in transition. Talk us through it, guys.
Quite noticeably colder down here, hasn't it? A bit more windy. How's that going to affect things?
Yeah, it's definitely colder. I mean, they're out of the swim now, so I think the boys will be fine. They won't get too cold now, but the temperature's definitely dropped.
Okay, and the positions, they just keep changing. We've had Brownlee caught right up. Now Wild seems to have gotten away, and Raphael, who was in the lead at the start, is dropping off the back.
Yeah, definitely. That's why this event is so you have to do swim, bike, run. You have to be up there. You have to be in contention. I'd put my money on Wild at this point, definitely. If he comes in and contention onto the run, it's his game.
But it's all changing hands. Anything can happen. Back to you.
Thanks, guys. We know how deep Ben Canute can dig, and Gustav Eden as well, and they're going to need to do that. 28 and 29 seconds back.
Yeah, Hayden Wild knows he's got a chance now. He can really extend this lead if he pushes hard on the bike, uses his bike skill to his advantage.
He hasn't put his shoes on yet. Look at that. He still hasn't slid into his shoes. He's gone all the way around that roundabout without transitioning into those bike shoes.
He's being really aggressive right now, trying to maximise that gap.
He was also maximising the draft off the bike there early through that roundabout, and coming off that onto the straight. But yeah, one shoe on.
Getting back into the bike shoes for the second time is actually more difficult because it's not set up 100%.
Yeah.
So sometimes your shoes are a little bit closed, and to try and get your feet in that second time is actually quite an art by itself.
Well, I imagine also you're cold, your feet are cold, your hands are cold, fumbling around down there trying to make sure that everything's under control.
He's chasing that gap. He's not even trying to put that left foot in yet. He's opening up. He's trying to get up to speed. He'll lean down when he's at his fastest speed so he doesn't lose any time. So he's committed to getting away from
I would have thought it was there. I would have thought it was downhill into that spot. I mean, there's not a lot of spots. There's not a lot of nice straights that you can...
It's true. It's still not on. He's thinking, I'm away here. I'm going to keep pushing forward. Now I'll put the foot in. It took him a lap to get both those feet in.
Yeah, he knows he's going to be slowing down right now, so he used that part of the course to just try and put his foot in. Anthony Pujard is really pushing on behind, trying to close that gap.
Using that bike skill we saw in that opening bike leg. Johnny Brownlee going to follow, and as you said, Aaron Royal has really set up his race by really shadowing Johnny Brownlee.
Aaron Royal, I think, is having a really good race. I think he's tactically in the best position so far in the whole race. I think he might have a little bit more energy towards the end of this.
Yeah, without question. He's got a good run. These 4 are away. They're safe. The top 5 are safe. It's Gustav Eden now. I'm looking at the Ben Canutes, The Jonas Schomburg, who was so strong in that opening triathlon, has drifted a little bit further back. He's got himself some work to do.
Canute and Schomburg are capable, we think, of catching Longcroft Harris. He's our bubble athlete. He's 14 seconds back. He's all by himself. He's 9 seconds ahead of Canute and Schomburg and Eden, who are very accomplished athletes, and two of them know this kind of format quite well. I'd love to see Hayden Longcroft Harris stick solid and get through.
So would I. It's just good to see a qualifier take out contracted athletes. It just shows that nobody's safe. Names mean nothing in this style of racing, and each week you turn up to defend your name. And Longcroft Harris says, I don't care if you got a contract or not. We're all in this race together. I'm going to take you out. And if you don't make the final, tough luck.
Well, he's certainly doing that just at the moment, and Hayden Wild is showing some fantastic bike skills, really maximising this course, and there is a few dangers out there. We've seen a few people come unstuck, but he looks like he's got it on rails. He looks a bit like Lewis was.
Yeah, he's done the same as Vincent Lewis. He's just established that break early from that first run and just sort of held it. As you said, Henry, he had a magnificent swim, and he looks as comfortable as Vincent did in the first race, calling out the crowd.
I'm liking this calling out the crowd on the bike. That's another new one.
That's very confident.
Yeah, we saw Vincent do it on the run. He saw Vincent do it on the run in the last one, and thought, I'll do it on the bike.
That was the run, mate.
Yeah, I'm doing it easy.
Well, at what point in Super League does someone stop halfway through the swim and just go,
Only Henry can do that.
Everybody. I've seen him be so far in front, he's had to turn around to make sure he was going the right way.
But Royal, Pajad and Brownie are actually working really well together. They're taking their turns, trying to catch Hayden Wild up front.
And there's Ben Canute. You don't want Ben Canute behind you because that guy does not stop. He's a little bit like a Christian Blumenfeld. He just continually moves forward, and Longcroft Harris is going to get hunted down by Jonas Schomburg, Ben Canute. Will stop him.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a race for that top 5 automatic slot. And I do feel like this race is a little bit quicker than the first one.
Yeah, I think it has that feeling, doesn't it, without question. Hayden pushing up the front, you've got Johnny Brownlee and that crew chasing behind, and that desperation of that third group to close that gap has kept the pace consistently stronger.
Yeah, that is not good news if you're a Canadian fan.
How he's swinging around that corner. He's using every bit of the course, and he's actually gaining a second just on that roundabout, that U-turn.
He rides a bike beautifully. Leo Bergier is another athlete I like to watch on a bike. He seems to sit very well, rides good lines, and Hayden Wild, you can just see that mountain bike skill. And you apply that to a road bike, he just uses the entire road, very comfortable in and out of those turns, and just comfortable.
We're going to have an elimination, I think, coming through transition. I saw it come up at the 130, and it is Dorian Connix, who is one of the bigger names out there.
Yeah.
And he hasn't had a good day today, and that is why we have the elimination rule, because he was about to get lapped by Hayden Wild, who looks like he's just out for a Sunday ride.
Yeah, he's ripping up this bike course, and he's making it really difficult for the guys like Konex, who just got eliminated.
Well, he likes the new course, because last year we didn't see him as much. We saw him a lot further back. This is only the semi-final, but I think he likes those more dead turns. He's able to use more of the road. He's out in front on his own. He's just riding away.
Now, Hayden Wild has won a stage before in stage racing, and he picked up $1,000 for that. It was at the top of the hill in Malta. And remember they had a discussion, him and Johnny Brownlee, really, about who was going to win that stage, and the two of them went up, and Hayden kicked on and won it. But that's a stage, and that's almost, it's not an orchestrated victory, but he kicked away. He has never dominated a race like this, and this has got half the field in it. This, a little bit like Rachel Clammer earlier on, is a little bit more, just another step in the coming of age scenario for Hayden Wild, who's now puts a legitimate, well, it was a stage win. This is a race win.
Yes.
And put that in the back pocket.
It's been a more even performance. As you said, in Malta last year, it was a big run performance. For Hayden, this event, he's really dominated. He's come off that swing a little bit further back. He moved up on the bike. He made his move on that run, held on in that second swim, and has just established himself on this bike ride. And he's going to be very difficult to run down from here. He won't be run down from here.
Yeah, he's just gaining confidence as this race goes further on. You can just see how he's so comfortable on the bike, just swinging around the corners like it's just a Sunday ride.
Yeah.
And even though these guys are trying to work as hard as they can together, they're still losing time to him.
Well, these three have almost, you think, put the cue in the rack when it comes to winning this one.
Yeah.
23 seconds back. It's almost the exact same scenario on lap 4 of the bike. They were 23 seconds back in the last semi-final. And the same things happen. Off he goes to the bike, Hayden Wild. Off his S-Works Venge, which is a beautiful looking bike. And Racket frontways this time. We're not going to need it again.
I just don't think he'll jog either, Hayden. I think he's going to lap this up. He'll move along well.
He's got 8 minutes.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, he should also be thinking about the race tomorrow. And I think tactically he's done it really well to increase that gap on the bike so that he can have an easier run.
Yeah.
His body will be a little bit, if he can have an easier run now, his body will be fresher tomorrow for the final.
He looks incredibly composed when you look at that versus the faces of these three guys, Anthony Pujard, Aaron Royal and Jonathan Brownlee. But 36.03 for Vincent Lewis was the mark. Martin Van Riel in the 36.12. It's gotten a little bit colder. If anything, you know, the conditions aren't quite as good, but
what have we got?
Let's see what
happens. Let's do the math. What time were they?
Yeah, I think it's going to be much quicker.
So 29.55 was the coming out of transition. So effectively it's a 7 minutes. 6 minutes.
36, you said.
36.03.
So 29.05 is 7 minutes.
What?
If there's 36 minutes and they did 29.03, let's do the math.
29.55.
Oh, I thought you said 29.03. I'll give you that then.
Coming out of transition on the 1600, 29.55.
Okay, so a 5-minute mile, which is a
my brain melted there a second. I thought, have I lost it?
Yeah.
So Hayden Wild is actually not really pushing. You can see he's just kind of going through the motions.
Well, Vince had Martin Van Riel with him.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes a difference or not.
This is a quicker heat. If he cruises a 5-minute mile, which is a nice run, it's a comfortable run. You're in under the winning time of Vincent Lewis, so it's a nice race by Hayden Wild.
The bike goes down for Chris Perham, and he's on the bubble. Where's the? Oh, there we go. He was close, nearly making it through the first lap of this run, but not close enough. Michael Thompson takes a little bit of joy in putting that out, doesn't he?
Smirk. He has
just a little smirk.
You are the
I was out there
weakest
this morning, and the crowd were actually booing him.
Constantine Doherty, the Irishman, is a minute back, so he should hold on because Hayden Wild is not running at his full capacity. But
he's almost using it like a warm down, basically.
Well, we'll see. At what point does he throw a high five out during the first run through transition, or does he wait until the second time through transition?
You can never read the Falcon. He does everything.
No, yes, exactly. Will he take his shoes off and have one run around like Leo Bergier in Singapore just to do something different? Who knows? But this is an interesting little battle. Pujard, Royal and Brownlee.
He's experienced there. Johnny knows he's safe. He's going to run through this as easy as possible.
This is a gauntlet throwdown, though, isn't it, for Wild? This is. I'm here for business. I'm here to do it in Super League. He's been committed to Super League since he came on, and he's showing everyone that he has got the skills, the stamina at this stage of the season to win this thing, to challenge Vincent Lewis for the round win, to pick up $20,000 US. He comes through in a 30.42.
Yeah, it seems like Jonathan Brownlee, hasn't been on the front much. I think he's thinking a lot about tomorrow. He's not thinking about winning this or getting the short shoot. He's just being very tactical, and maybe that plays in his favour tomorrow.
Yeah, I saw him looking at the short shoot when we were constructing it over the weekend. He said, that's it. There's only a 3-second advantage maximum.
It's not as far.
It's not as far. So
he was 70% as far as it was.
Yeah.
Put it down about 30%.
Yeah. Here we have Gustav Eden. I think he'll get that fifth qualifying spot. And Ben Canute is pushing hard behind him.
Jonas Schomburg off the back. And Jonas Schomburg, who came in with so much promise at the start, has to push.
He really does have to push. Our sixth place was Pierre Lecour in a 36.32. So that's your first qualifying time at the moment. This is a fast heat, though. If you look at that 32.33, they're all within about the 33. So they've got to run 800 metres in about 3 minutes.
Which is comfortable for everyone in this
For you.
Yeah, Hayden must just be loving this right now. It's such an amazing feeling when you're out in front, very controlled, and you know you're going to take the win. He's just soaking it all in, and I'm sure he's going to have so much confidence come tomorrow, and I think Vincent Louis should be a little bit scared.
Yeah. It's an amazing performance. It's a performance. I don't think Vincent's going to be alone. Last year he had yourself and Richard Murray in this enduro format. I think Hayden's going to be right there, and the only kryptonite he has, I guess, is the swim, and he needs to stay close again with 15 in the final tomorrow.
Yeah, Vincent Louis would know that, and I think he's already planning that's where he's going to make his move, is on the swim.
Yeah, after his efforts in Super League, there's a big smile from the Falcon after his Super League efforts. He's even having a chat. He really announced himself on the WTS this year as well. He's led races at times. He's become a force. He's become at least someone to think about. And he said his aim this year is top 4 in the series. And he's certainly laying down a marker. Vincent Lewis, though, has never lost an enduro. He's won all 3 previous enduros. We'll have swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run tomorrow. And could it be these two? There's the Falcon wings, and everybody loves it. Absolutely loves it. And no one loves it more than Hayden Wilde. He's even spotting people in the crowd. And it looks like he's going to run in under the 36 mark. We're going to have to look at that when he comes through at the end. But this has been a fast heat, and there is no one in transition except for Hayden Wilde, who runs around the bottom. Let's not forget that Vincent took a long time to get around through transition himself. He's got the New Zealand flag. I hope personally that he picked up an Australian one by accident. They're very similar, but it doesn't matter. The Falcon crosses the line as your semi-final B winner. Congratulations to Hayden Wilde. He did it easy in the end, and he has sent a bit of a shockwave through the competition. Aaron Royal breaks away. Well done to him as a late inclusion, the Australian to qualify. Anthony Poujard qualifies as well. Johnny
switched off.
Johnny qualifies, and there's Gustav Eden at the top end of the course. What a big crowd we've had here in Jersey today. The weather has stayed away, and the people of Jersey have come out in force. There's been people travelling from all over the world as well. And Ben Canute, no time for high fives. Him and Constantine Doherty, along with Schomburg, all know they need to be quick. It was a 35-34 from Hayden Wilde, 32 seconds quicker than Vincent Lewis did the job. And when you look back, if you watch that first race, he looks supreme, Vincent Lewis, and to put 30-plus seconds into him, well, that is quality.
That was a big race, and for Schomburg, I think that the pace of that race is going to get him through the final, but he cannot make those mistakes tomorrow. I think Hayden has really stepped up here, and Vincent Lewis is probably listening to us right now, be watching this online. He's made a statement, Hayden Wilde, that's for sure.